Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's the singers, it's the singers only. Singers only. Guys, it's Kristal Cherelle from Indie Artist School. Welcome to the Singer's Arsenal. You know, last night I had a dream and I was writing a song in the dream. And when I woke up, I couldn't get the melody out of my head. And so this morning, I got my guitar out and I started working it over and trying to get it out exactly as it sounded in my head. And this is a phenomenon that it's called inspiration, it's called creativity, but it's something very unique about this. And I find this to be true with a lot of other artists that I speak with, is that it seems to come from nowhere. It's like you can't explain it. It's not something that you plan to do. It's just like you're interpreting a message and your job is to try to communicate that as true to the original or as true to the vision as possible. So today we're going to talk about inspiration and the nature of creativity. So this is something that has perplexed me, confused me, whatever, for a majority of my life. I couldn't explain it. When I was young, I actually started out by playing piano and figuring things out. I would have thoughts, melodies, a series of notes in my head, and I would try to work it out and get it exactly as it sounds in my head. I know that this is probably different compared to our other episodes, since I'm usually talking about how to improve your voice and all of this, but I can't talk about the art of singing and not talk about the nature of art itself. Okay, we got to talk about creativity. It's so important. When you're in the arts, when you're in a field of creativity, we got to talk about the source of it. Where does it come from? There's a lot of different theories on this. There's several people who've written books about it. And if you're religious, there's people who say it's a gift from God. If you're spiritual, you say it's part of the connected consciousness. And if you're none of those things, you might still think of it as a scientific anomaly. Either way you look at it, there are some practices that you can do to get more in touch with the creative side of yourself, to make sure that every time you do happen to have inspiration, that you're actually utilizing it and making it happen. Okay, so the first thing we got to talk about is clarity slash recall. So when you have an idea, you could be actually washing your dishes, you could be doing something random, you could be driving your car, wherever you are, you just have a thought come in your head, a melody come in your head, and you really can't place it. You're like, okay, this is not anything that I've heard before. So your first step is to capture that as clearly as you can, okay? Because recall is so weird, okay? If you don't record yourself as it's coming, your chances of remembering it exactly as it came the first time is going to be even harder, okay? So just thank me later for this. If you got inspiration, I want you to get your phone or computer or whatever and just record. Just, it doesn't have to be fancy, guys, just enough to be able to recall the idea, okay? And this actually works for all kinds of ideas. If you're a visual artist, then you draw a sketch, because I also paint. So some of you may already know that about me, some of you may not. So anyway, any visual or auditory, whatever art or medium you have, capture it in its most clear, fundamental stage. Okay, so you want to get the bare bones of it down so that no matter what, as you recall, it gets fuzzier and fuzzier. You'll still have the foundation laid. Okay, so if you're a musician, then if you have a melody in your head, you want to hum that melody. Or if you're an instrumentalist, you want to get your keyboard out or get your guitar and play that out. For me, most songs or ideas come to me in melodies, and it's vocal first, always is. And so I record my voice in a voice memo on my phone. Okay, so it's clear, it's saved. Now, okay, my next step is, if you can, try to stay with it, okay, guys? these are like catching lightning in a bottle, okay? Inspiration is very special. It's very, you could have it, and then if you don't hold on to it, it just slips between your fingers. There's some times where I'll have a great idea and I'm like, where's my phone? Let me get this down. And then by the time I get to my phone, I'm like, wait, what was it again? Let it be in a dream. Oh my goodness. Let the idea come in a dream. Then it's even harder if I'm not thinking it over and over again, which that's about lucid dreaming. That's a whole nother topic. But basically being able to be present and conscious, kind of like halfway awake in your dream so that you can put it in your memory to remember when you wake up. That's a whole nother thing. That's a skill I highly recommend if you're interested in learning about lucid dreaming. If your ideas come to you in dreams, that is definitely one of the biggest gifts you can give yourself, is by increasing your ability to retain and remember slash recall your dreams and the details in them, like melodies. Okay, so the next thing that you want to do is, like I said, stay with it. So you're with the dream, right? Or you're with your song, your idea. And I want you to be aware, pay attention to all the little details in it, and see if you can replicate it. If you're awake and it's not a dream and you're hearing it and you're awake, I want you to go with the idea as long as you can. This is how I do it anyway. Stay with that idea as long as you can until it starts getting fuzzy, okay? For me, it's the melodies are very clear. Sometimes changes in chord progression doesn't come as clearly for me, which has to do with some of the foundation of the song. But the main melody, the main emotion of the song, and lyrics come to me too in pieces. So I'll record that and then I'll listen back. And then this is where you become a collaborator. It's like you're given an idea and then there's a foundation that it must have to be true to the idea. And then you get to make it your own as you go. Hopefully that makes sense no matter what you believe. Okay. So then you go with that as long as you can and you build it up. And then before you know it, it's kind of got its own legs. You'll get in flow, and flow is the third step. Okay, so the first step is recall. Second step is staying with it and building it up as far as you can until it gets fuzzy. Then once the foundation's laid and you got most of it down, and now you're into it's all in the ball's in your court now. Basically, that's the third step. That's when you get in flow. That's when you rely on your own skills, your own talents to really hone it, fine tune it, make it your own, even elaborate. Because sometimes you might just get a small piece of an idea. You might just get a hook of a song, a melody, a simple melody for a verse. And then you could create an entire song. You can create an entire song from that simple melody. And so sometimes inspiration is very generous, and sometimes inspiration is a little bit stingy. Okay, that's what I'm gonna call it. It'll just give you just a little bitty ounce, just a little dash, just a little sprinkle of an idea, and you're really left to deal with the rest of it. You're left to create so much more of it. I've had songs that I've written where it's like pretty much written for me. I mean, I'm telling you, it didn't get fuzzy. It's like I did the whole thing. It's like I just remembered everything from beginning to end. And then there's some times where I'll get an idea and listen, it's like, okay, thank you. All right. I'm always thankful every time I get inspiration, but a lot of it is really about getting in flow and staying dedicated and not giving up. That's the fourth step. Okay, guys. One thing you're going to notice is you'll have periods as a creative or as an artist. You're going to have periods of time where you are just booming with inspiration all the time. You're just really spoiled at this point. You're so used to it. It just keeps coming and you're just like, yep, idea after idea keeps coming to you, and it's so easy to do. And then you'll have times where it's like you really want to write something and you can't think of anything, And in those droughts, you'll be looking back like, man, I really wish I would have ran with some of those other ideas I had before that I let slip through my finger. The second step, the holding on to it and staying with it when it comes so that you can see it through. A lot of people have ideas, guys. If you ever saw something on TV, some business comes out and you're thinking to yourself, wait a minute, I thought of that too. You're like, wait. It's like they stole your idea, but they didn't because you never created it. So you'll think of that and you'll be like, whoa, I thought of that already, but I didn't do anything with it. And guess what? It'll go to someone else. These ideas, there's nothing new under the sun, but there could be new interpretations, new ways to build up something. Even the same idea could go from one person to the next. Their actual product or their song won't sound the same as the others because you have your own talent, your own skill, and your own interpretation of the same information. So just know that, you have a great idea. Chances are there's someone else out there that has a great idea too. There's this book that was recommended by my sister called Big Magic. I love that book because it really helps you understand a bit of the way inspiration works, how it bounces from one person to the other sometimes. And there's just those things you can't explain, how two people can have the same idea and they not even know each other, and I'm sure you've experienced it. I like to think of it like deja vu. It's something that we all know happens, but we can't quite put our finger on what it actually means and what's causing it. That being said, I'm not here to try to dissect it. I'm just here to tell you how to be a good steward of it. I'm here to help you understand what you can do to make sure that you get more inspiration, and that every time you do get inspiration, that you actually use it all the way through to create something wonderful. Okay. The next time you get an idea, I want you to jot it down. I want you to record yourself if it's a melody. I want you to capture that foundation and stay with it. See it through. And if it gets hard and you find yourself wanting to give up on it, don't do that. Don't give up on it, guys. See it through. See it all the way through. And if at the end, when you're done, you're like, well, I'm not really feeling it, that's okay. But at least you got practice. You got practice of being an interpreter, of being someone who can be inspired and see it through. And guess what? The more times you see your inspiration through, the more inspiration you're going to have. It's just a skill. Think about this. The ideas that come, holding on to them becomes a skill that you can develop. Okay, in the beginning, it might be kind of hard. But it is something that you can practice with intent. You just got to make sure that the next time you have an idea that you don't ignore it, okay? Be aware of it, be thankful for it, and show your gratitude by seeing it through, okay? All right, you guys. Well, if you want to learn how to sing and want to learn more things like this, visit indie-artist.teachable.com. Until next time, have a great day.
Yeah. It's a sing